Welcome back to Bourbon Barrel, and today we're going to be reviewing Baker's 13. Baker's 13 is distilled out of Jim Beam Distillery, which is located in Claremont, Kentucky, and is one of the biggest and oldest distilleries in the United States. Both the Baker's 7 and this Baker's 13 bottle are named after Baker Beam, who is the grandnephew of the legendary Jim Beam. The mash bill of this bottle is 77% corn, 13% rye, and 10% malted barley. As you can see, the liquid inside this bottle is very dark, and it's because of that 13-year-old age statement, and it's also a single barrel product. The bottle itself is very similar, if not identical, to the Baker 7 bottle, only changing things on the label, such as the age statement and some of the small, subtle designs as well. The bottle is also a little rarer, so it may be harder to get. And now, let's get right into the review.
So I've gone ahead and poured out some of the Baker's 13 here. So let's just get right into the review. So as you can see on the color here, we got something nice, deep and dark. When I first got this bottle, I was just amazed at how dark it is. I mean, if you could just take a look at that. It may be hard because there's light in here, but you can see that this has some nice color to it. And it's not just the label, it's just actually that dark, which is super nice. And with it being obviously 13 years old, I wouldn't expect anything less. It's just super nice to still see the color on it. But that doesn't necessarily mean, like I've said in a lot of my videos, doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get anything particularly good or bad. It's just how it is. So, I mean, there's bourbons that I've had that are lighter than this that may have darker flavors, and the opposite that may be darker than this, although I've had a couple that could have worse flavors. Who knows? The color just really depends on the aging and the aging process, like where you age it, how long, all that kind of stuff. But generally, it follows that we'll get some good flavors out of it. But of course, there's only one way to find out. So let's get right into it. This has a nice, deep, rich nose to it. I'm getting peanut, but I can't decide between like a peanut butter or a peanut shell. Like there's definitely a difference. One is more starchy, more savory. The other one is definitely more like thick and sweet kind of smell. But both have that underlying peanut characteristic to it, but they have two different directions it goes, and I can't decide which one it is I'm smelling here. It's something peanut adjacent. I want to lean more towards peanut butter just because it is like just gobs of rich flavor or rich nose notes, but I'll call it peanut butter, but just know it's more of it's not like full peanut butter, it's more of just a peanut general note. But I'm gonna call it peanut butter just because it leans more towards that anyway. I'm getting a little bit of a fruit, like cherry, I want to say cherry. Like a brighter fruit, nothing super like dark and deep in terms of the fruit note, but definitely something a little brighter over the top of it, supporting that like dark peanut butter, dark brown sugar, kind of caramelly kind of base to it. Definitely really nice. I'm not getting like a ton. I get maybe a little bit of oak, but not like a ton on it, which is pretty surprising for something this age. Usually you get some sort of oak, whether it be, if it's younger, you'll get, obviously a more pronounced young oak. If it's older, you'll get more mature, really old oak. But I may get a little, but like I'm not getting a ton for it being a 13-year-old product, which it's not good or bad. It's just how it is. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how that translates to the palate. So let's just go ahead and take a sip and see what it is. Oh man, that has got some good stuff going on in it. So back to like what I was talking about with that peanut butter, that peanut shell type thing. On the nose, at least for me, it was more of like back and forth. On the palate, there's no doubt. It's definitely a peanut shell type note, more starchy, more savory note. I mean, not that there's not sweetness here, it's just, it's not coming from the peanut note, if that makes sense. like whenever you have, if you ever had like not salted, excuse me. If you ever had caramel coated like popcorn or caramel coated anything that's typically salty, when you eat it, you recognize, okay, there's something savory, salty here, and there's something sweet here. And you can distinguish the caramel is the sweet, and then the savory is obviously whatever it's covering. For my example, the popcorn. And that's exactly what I'm getting here. It's definitely, I can tell there's some sweet notes, which I'm getting like a brown, like a nice, deep, dark brown sugar, like just super, like almost like a pure, if you can think in your head like a pure concentrated, like brown sugar sweetness, like I'm getting that as my sweetness, but over top of it, I'm getting this layer of like starchy, salty, almost like peanut shell. And it's really good. It really balances together. Yeah, that oak is definitely more present here in the palate. And it's definitely a mature oak. Like I'm definitely getting a lot of that really established oak. You can tell this has been sitting in a barrel for a while because it's just soaked up all of the goodness of that barrel note in there into something that's really mature and not super young and with a lot of tannins. It just really mellows together. But yeah, I can definitely tell that there is just a nice quality of maturity to this. And I just got another sniff, and it started to transform a little bit. I'm getting a little bit more of that like typical like dusty, like it smells dusty. Like if you ever smell a dusty book, or if you go into an old store where there's dust, it kind of smells like that. And you know, that's, for me, that's a good thing. Like I really like that smell. It definitely smells like almost like an antique shop. Like it almost kind of has that vibe to it, at least on the nose. And on the palate, you know, it's like I said, it's just got like that really nice oak to it. To me, this whole experience, not including the finish, I'll get to that in a second, but this whole smelling it to the palate, the whole experience, it can only be described for me. It's like if you walked into an antique store, right? You walk into an antique store, you know, they've got like a few candies up front for the kiddos and all that kind of stuff. But so you get like a little sweet smell with the candy up front, like, you know, your Milky Ways, Snickers, Twix, whatever. You get those up front. You get the nice dusty smell of an antique store, and you get some nice wood smells. And that's kind of the experience I'm getting. You go in there and you find like this really nice like antique like wooden dresser, wooden piece of furniture or something like that. And that's exactly what this is like. Just a nice old oak, some sweetness in there, a little dustiness to it. You can tell it's established, it's been there, it's older, like it's firm, like there's no denying the quality of this thing, of this store. That's exactly how I imagine this. It's just, it brings me anyways to that kind of vibe of walking into an old antique store and looking at these old wooden pieces of furniture that have been there a while. So it's kind of odd, but that's just kind of the experience that comes to my mind when I'm drinking this. But let's just go ahead and get right to the finish and wrap this up. So like I said, all those notes in the beginning are still what I'm getting, but on the finish, like that really mature oak just shines through. Like you get just a straight mature oak, and it's just like, if you imagine an old barrel with maybe like some pockets of like hardened brown sugar in there, hardened like caramel just on the side. Like you get still a little bit of that sweetness from the palate kind of continues in, but it's predominantly that mature oak. It's just kind of just shining through, and it's like, hey, I know the bottle says 13 years of age, but like I'm just gonna prove it to you right now that this is actually an older product. And it really does. Like, there's a lot of good stuff in here, and if you just blindfolded me and asked me to taste this, I would be like, this has got to be 10, 12 plus years of age. This has got some legs to it. There's definitely no lack of flavor. There's no lack of complexity. Like, it's just super nice. Yeah, this is a very, very good pour. So I want to talk about the lid of the bottle. So obviously Baker's 13, They have the Baker 7, and I'm actually probably going to do here soon. I kind of want to do a side-by-side comparison of this bottle with the Baker 7 that I have over there, which I have done a review on, if you do want to go check that out. But I want to do a Baker 7 and Baker 13 kind of side-by-side just to see what that's like. I think there could be some interesting qualities that they share, but I think the Baker 7 is a fantastic pour for your price. You know, $60, somewhere in there around that. For a 7-year product, like, it's just fantastic. This is a 13-year product, obviously, and it's coming in, I think the MSRP is about $150. Obviously, it's a little bit pricier. It's a little bit harder to find, just because it is a big boy bottle. But would I say it's worth it? I think it is. Like, this is one of the most expensive bottles that I have, which is, I know there's more expensive. It's just I don't have the super expensive bottles when I really want to, unless I define that as something that's just outstanding. But the other bottle that I have is kind of at a frame I have is my Jack 14. That's also $150. Now, to me, Jack 14, I would say, is better to my palate than this Baker's 13, but it's not by like miles. Like, it's like Baker's 13, Jack 14, like, it's close. But I just think for me, I enjoy the Jack 14 more than I do this one. But this one is absolutely fantastic. I think the Jack 14 is definitely worth $150 if you can get it. And I think this Baker's 13 is also worth the $150. I wouldn't go more for any of those bottles. I wouldn't go a lot more than that, if any at all. Like, I wouldn't pay $200 plus, $250 plus for these bottles, no. I think where they're at, like at 150, maybe slightly more if you have to, but nothing crazier than that. I don't think there's a lot that's going to be worth your 250 pluses, and I certainly think that these two bottles are good at their bottles or at their prices, and especially this one. Like I said, this bottle is fantastic juice. The price is a little bit expensive, I get that, but if you do get your hands on it and are able to try it before you buy it, I think you'll find that this is definitely a bottle that you would be delighted to pick up. So for me, this is an easy 9 out of 10. I almost want to put it like a 10 out of 10 because I've only given it 10 out of 10 once, and that was to my Jack 14, just because that bottle is just so incredible for me. And it depends on your palate. Some people might enjoy this a little bit better. There may be just something more that you like about this that you don't like about Jack, or any of these other higher age bottles. This bottle could just be your favorite if you really like this profile. It's definitely different than that Jack 14 and a lot of the other bottles I've had, so it's definitely unique in that aspect. And you got to keep in mind it's also a single barrel, so you may get something really good and you may get something not as good. I don't think no matter what barrel you'll get, you'll be disappointed. I just think at worst, you're going to love it. I think at best, it's going to be your absolute favorite. So your mileage may vary, but I think at the very worst, you're going to absolutely enjoy it. So all that to say, for me, this is an easy 9 out of 10 bottle. I'm super happy I got to pick this up and try it and own it. I think in wrapping up, if you are able to find this and try it, please do. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And then if you do get the opportunity to try it and then buy it, you will be delighted. So it's a great bottle, another hit from Baker's, and just an incredible bottle if you're able to find it.
I hope you guys have enjoyed this review of Baker's 13 Single Barrel. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this bottle, and don't forget to check out in the descriptions for a summarized version of this review and a link to Jim Beam's product website. On screen you'll also see a couple of videos, so be sure to go check those out as well. Hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time here on Burn 'Em Barrel.